Most men wander through life blind, believing they are clever. Yet the truly sharp see patterns others cannot. Today, I will reveal the hidden signs that mark you as one who moves with knowledge and power. Unseen, calculating, and unchallenged. In the shadows of human folly, the clever thrive while the simple stumble. Intelligence is not measured by mere learning, but by the mastery of perception, strategy, and subtle influence. Those who recognize the mechanisms of power, the weakness of men, and the art of controlling outcomes hold the truest advantage. This is not vanity. It is survival, dominion, and the quiet thrill of knowing more than those around you. Do you ever notice how most men rush to action, driven by impulse rather than insight? They speak before they measure, strike before they understand, and lose what they never had the wisdom to secure. This is the world you inhabit. A theater of fools, each playing a role in their own undoing. Yet, you, the perceptive, do not succumb so easily. You watch, you calculate, you wait. Observation is the first mark of intelligence, and it is far more potent than the clamor of action. Consider Caesar at the Rubicon. He did not cross the river in ignorance. He observed the senators, measured their fears, and struck only when his advantage was undeniable. The clever see the currents beneath the surface, the tension in every word, the hesitation in every gesture. What men call luck is often nothing but patient calculation, and what they call talent is the courage to act when others falter. Ask yourself, how often do you act without knowledge? How often do you speak without understanding the consequence? The less intelligent are slaves to motion. They confuse business with mastery. You, if you are among the few who see, understand that mastery begins with stillness. By observing, you gather intelligence that cannot be bought, manipulated, or inherited. You acquire the secret knowledge that men in power kill to protect, the kind of insight that allows you to manipulate events without ever showing your hand. History offers endless examples. Take Machiavelli's own contemporaries. Florence teemed with princes, merchants, and soldiers, each seeking to appear strong while revealing their weakness in every word and gesture. The perceptive few, the ones who watched quietly, learned which alliances would crumble, which men would betray, and which fears could be exploited. They gained the advantage without drawing a sword, without issuing a decree, simply by understanding the stage on which others foolishly performed. Observation is not passive. It is an active discipline of the mind, a form of power disguised as patience. Imagine a chessboard, each figure a person, each move a choice. Do you charge without thought? Or do you watch your opponent's hand tremble, note their patterns, and strike only when checkmate is inevitable? To observe is to control the tempo, to guide events with subtle pressure, and to let others stumble into the traps you foresee. The psychology of men is predictable if you know where to look. Pride makes them reveal secrets. Fear bends them to your will. Desire blinds them. The clever mind studies these forces as a general studies the terrain. Every hill, river, and valley represents an opportunity or a threat. And while most are intoxicated by emotion, you, if you are truly sharp, understand that knowledge is the ultimate weapon. Words, actions, and even silence can all be instruments of manipulation when wielded with intent. Consider the cunning merchants of Venice. They traded not only goods but influence. They observed rival families, noting alliances and grievances, and used that intelligence to corner markets and control politics. One small piece of insight, gathered by quiet observation, could secure fortunes or destroy enemies. You may never sit in a palace or sign treaties, yet the principle is the same: watch, learn, and act with precision. In every conversation, every glance, every hesitation lies the key to advantage. And what of those who refuse to observe? They are predictable, fragile, and easily exploited. Every insult they give, every word they reveal, Every impulse they act upon becomes ammunition for the discerning. Can you see it? The world teems with those who unknowingly betray themselves, offering the patient observer power without risk. You do not need to manipulate every man immediately. Sometimes the greatest victory comes from understanding them first, letting them reveal their weaknesses while you remain invisible. So, I ask you, do you watch, truly watch, or are you swept along by the motion of others? Do you see patterns where others see chaos? Do you let opportunity emerge before seizing it, or do you rush, revealing your own flaws in the process? This is the quiet art of intelligence, the first sign that you may be smarter than most. But observation is only the beginning. To watch without understanding is folly. To understand without action is wasted potential. In the next segment, we will explore the second mark of intelligence, the mastery of influence, where knowledge becomes power and subtlety becomes dominion. Remember, the clever are not simply thinkers. They are orchestrators. And the stage is set for those who know when to pull the strings. Do you believe intelligence alone grants power? Think again. Knowledge without influence is like a sword left in its sheath. Sharp, yes, but useless in the fray. True intellect is measured by the ability to bend the world subtly to your will, to guide men without their awareness, and to achieve results while remaining unseen. Ask yourself, are you merely clever, or are you a silent orchestrator? History is a master teacher. Consider Cardinal Richelieu, the minister who controlled France from the shadows. He never led armies personally, yet kings obeyed him. He never shouted commands on battlefields, yet wars were won and lost according to his counsel. How did he achieve this? Not through brute force, but through influence. By understanding men's desires, their fears, and their ambitions, and then arranging them like pieces on a board. Influence is not about being loved. Influence is about being indispensable, feared, and quietly respected. Think of a time in your own life when someone moved you without you realizing it. A colleague convinced you to support their idea. A friend swayed your opinion. Did they rely solely on logic? Rarely. They understood your psychology, the subtle motivations that drive action. Influence is the art of seeing the hidden strings and pulling them lightly enough that the puppet does not suspect a hand guides them. Do you see the power in that? The less intelligent struggle to manipulate with force. The wise achieve the same effect with subtlety. Psychologically, influence exploits the predictable nature of human behavior. Pride, envy, fear, and desire are constant forces, easily observed and anticipated. A clever mind recognizes that men act not in rationality, but in emotion. To sway them, one does not argue endlessly. One nudges, suggests, tempts, or provokes, leaving the impression that the choice was theirs all along. Here lies the essence of control, to appear powerless while shaping outcomes. It is a delicate dance, but the rewards are immense. Consider Cleopatra. Her power over Julius Caesar and Mark Antony was not derived from armies or gold alone. She wielded influence with precision, appearing vulnerable, yet orchestrating alliances that ensured Egypt's survival. Men believed they acted according to their desires, yet in truth, they moved exactly as she intended. Influence is the silent victory that avoids the noise of war, yet achieves outcomes that brute force cannot replicate. Ask yourself, are you guiding the currents or merely floating upon them? Influence also requires patience. The clever do not demand obedience immediately. Cultivate it. They plant ideas, provoke curiosity, and gently steer decisions over time. Observe a master negotiator. Notice how they frame questions, how they allow you to arrive at conclusions that serve their strategy. Every gesture, every word, every silence is calibrated. Do you notice how rarely the most powerful appear forceful? Power is subtle. Power is invisible until it has already struck. Now, Consider how this principle applies to daily life. Perhaps you have encountered a colleague who seems to command respect effortlessly. They rarely raise their voice, yet their opinions carry weight. They are not stronger, they are wiser. They have mastered influence. They understand that men are creatures of habit and desire, and that guiding behavior is far more effective than ordering it. Influence allows one to move entire groups, entire markets, entire societies, without revealing the architect behind the movement. And yet, few cultivate this skill. The masses mistake noise for authority and volume for control. They speak, they yell, they force their way forward. And they fail time and time again. The intelligent recognize that subtlety is stronger than spectacle. That manipulation, when executed with precision, trumps raw power. That to be unseen is to be untouchable. So I ask you, do you sway men with subtlety, or do you shout your intelligence into the void? Do you guide the currents, or are you swept along by them? Influence is not merely a tool, it is a mark of true cunning, the second proof that you may surpass the ordinary mind. But beware, understanding influence is only half the battle. To command it fully, you must combine it with emotional detachment, the cold lens through which the world is observed without compromise. In the next segment, we will explore how detachment transforms intellect into mastery, revealing how the wise exploit the predictable folly of men while remaining untouched. The stage grows darker, the stakes higher, and the path to true power lies not in passion, but in restraint. Do you feel every slight, every insult, every disappointment as if it were a dagger in your chest? Then you are like most men, enslaved to your own emotions, a puppet of your desires and fears. The intelligent, however, understand that power is never entrusted to the sentimental. Emotional detachment is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is the lens through which you see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Ask yourself, do you act, or are you acted upon by the whims of others? History teaches this lesson in abundance. Consider Emperor Augustus, who forged an empire from chaos. He loved Rome, yes, but he loved control more. He observed, he waited, and when emotion threatened to cloud judgment, he restrained it. Wars, betrayals, and the ceaseless ambitions of men were tools, not distractions. He acted with the cold precision of a master sculptor, chiseling reality into the shape he desired. Would you have the patience to watch men destroy themselves while you remain untouched? Emotions are predictable, and therefore exploitable. Pride, anger, jealousy, and desire can be weapons or weaknesses. Those who surrender to them are blind. Those who master them are omniscient. Consider the generals of antiquity. Alexander the Great inspired loyalty, yet he ruled not by the warmth of affection, but by understanding the fears and ambitions of those around him. To sway men, to control kingdoms, one must see emotion for what it is, a tool to be observed, guided, and, when necessary, ignored. Do not mistake detachment for apathy. It is engagement, but with clarity. Imagine a battlefield. The untrained soldier fights with fury and is cut down. The strategist observes without attachment, noting the rhythm of conflict, predicting movements, exploiting weaknesses. He is not cold because he hates. He is cold because he understands that sentiment clouds judgment, and judgment determines survival. In the same way, life presents opportunities and threats, and only those who remain detached can seize them without error. Even in everyday life, the principle holds. Consider the cunning merchants of Venice. When rival families insulted them, they did not respond in anger. They calculated, observed, and waited for the moment when emotion had weakened their opponent's position. A well-timed maneuver, a carefully placed suggestion, a silent withdrawal. These were their weapons. And the emotional men around them fell like dominoes, powerless to resist the subtle currents that detached minds had mastered. Can you see it? Control begins when you refuse to be controlled. Psychology reveals that men act irrationally when attached to ego or sentiment. Fear of loss, desire for praise, and resentment against rivals are chains that bind the ordinary. The detached mind sees these chains and walks freely. You do not need to react to every provocation. You do not need to justify yourself, explain your position, or defend your pride. Every unnecessary response is an opening. Every uncontrolled emotion is a weakness your rivals will exploit. Are you prepared to expose yourself, or will you become invisible, untouchable, the one who moves while others flail? Even the greatest manipulators relied on this principle. Cleopatra, as we have seen, combined influence with detachment. She never allowed affection or fear to govern her choices. Julius Caesar and Mark Antony believed they commanded her heart, yet her decisions were guided by strategy, not sentiment. In this way, she remained powerful, unassailable, and capable of shaping events that would have crushed a less disciplined mind. Influence without detachment is fragile. Detachment without influence is wasted intelligence. Together, they are unstoppable. So, ask yourself, do you feel first and act second? Or do you observe first and act with precision? Are you a slave to passion or a master of outcomes? Emotional detachment is the third sign that separates the intelligent from the ordinary. It allows you to endure insults without loss of dignity, to exploit weaknesses without remorse, and to act decisively when others are paralyzed by feeling. But detachment is only a tool. It does not replace strategy. Knowledge and observation alone are not enough. In the next segment, we will explore pattern recognition, the ability to see the hidden currents of human behavior and societal structures, to predict outcomes that elude the common mind. The world is a stage, and only those who combine detachment with foresight can move unseen, orchestrating events to their advantage while others stumble blindly. The next revelation awaits, and it will test whether you truly belong among the few who see what most men cannot. Do you notice patterns in the chaos? Or do you wander, blind to the currents that shape the world? The ordinary see only isolated events, wars, betrayals, fortunes won and lost. The intelligent see the invisible threads connecting them, the rhythm underlying human behavior, the repetition that betrays weakness and opportunity alike. Pattern recognition is the mark of those who move before others realize they are being moved. Ask yourself, do you perceive, or are you deceived by appearances? History is replete with masters of patterns. Consider Genghis Khan, whose conquests seemed unstoppable. He did not merely strike armies with brute force. He observed their formations, their habits, their routines. He anticipated rebellions before they occurred, exploiting human predictability with ruthless efficiency. The world presented him a tapestry of repetition, and he learned to read it. What about you? Do you see the cycles in human ambition, the predictable fall of pride, the recurring folly of greed? Pattern recognition is more than observation. It is the understanding that men are creatures of habit. They betray themselves through repetition, revealing desires, weaknesses, and tendencies. A clever general studies not only the enemy's weapons, but their responses to fear, the way they overestimate strength or underestimate patience. A shrewd merchant notes the same in rivals, predicting moves before they are made, turning anticipation into advantage. To predict is to control. Can you see it? To know what will happen before it occurs is to own the outcome. Psychology confirms this principle. Humans crave consistency, even when it serves them poorly. They fall into routines, trust the familiar, and repeat mistakes. Their arrogance convinces them they are exceptions. And therein lies the opportunity for the perceptive mind. By recognizing these patterns, you can exploit behaviors that others consider immutable. You can guide choices, manipulate decisions, and orchestrate events without ever raising suspicion. How many victories are lost because men act blindly, ignoring the signals hidden in repetition? Consider the cunning of Renaissance Florence. Merchants, politicians, and bankers thrived not merely through wealth, but through their understanding of human cycles. They noticed which alliances would fracture under pressure, which ambitions would flare into conflict, and which rivalries could be exploited. Every conversation, every transaction, every gesture was a thread in a repeating pattern, and those who observed closely could predict the flow of fortunes and influence. Would you have seen the currents, or been swept aside like the ignorant masses? Even in everyday life, the principle applies. Do you notice the subtle signals in negotiation, the hesitation before a response, the recurring excuses, the small reveals that betray true intent? Men think themselves clever when they hide their cards, yet patterns betray them. The intelligent mind reads repetition like a map, understanding what is concealed in plain sight. Observation alone is not enough. You must see the form beneath the chaos, the invisible architecture of behavior that guides outcomes. Pattern recognition is also a tool of manipulation. Once you discern a cycle, you may anticipate it, interrupt it, or exploit it. Consider the master tactician who understands a rival's predictable envy. He can provoke, distract, or reward at precisely the right moment, bending events to his will. Influence is most effective when aligned with foresight. Without the map of patterns, action is random. With it, action becomes inevitable, and others, however clever they believe themselves to be, stumble precisely as you anticipate. So I ask you, do you see cycles, or do you react to fragments? Do you anticipate, or are you surprised by every repetition of human folly? Pattern recognition is the fourth mark of intelligence, the ability to read beneath the surface, to predict, and to act with a precision the ordinary cannot fathom. Those who grasp it move silently, manipulating events while others are caught in the illusion of chaos. But understanding patterns is not the end. Prediction without execution is merely theory. Observation without manipulation is wasted insight. In the next segment, we will explore the silent art of strategic silence, the mastery of speaking only when words amplify power and remaining invisible when they preserve it. Only then does intelligence evolve into authority and subtle insight into true control. The next revelation will challenge your assumptions about influence and command, and test whether you are truly among the few who see the hidden order in the world. Do you speak to assert dominance, or do you speak to reveal weakness? Most men believe that filling the air with words signifies intelligence. They are wrong. The wise understand that silence is the most potent weapon in a world addicted to noise. Words, once spoken, cannot be reclaimed. They betray thought, reveal intent, and often expose the hand that should remain hidden. Ask yourself, do you control your voice, or does it control you? History rewards the silent. Consider Cato the Younger, whose measured speech in the Roman Senate conveyed authority without aggression. He did not need to shout to impose his will. His restraint commanded attention, respect, and fear. Men listened because every word carried weight, and they feared misjudging the man who spoke only when it mattered. Could you achieve such presence? Could your silence amplify the power that your words alone could never convey? Silence is strategic. It allows observation to continue uninterrupted. The unwise fill every gap with chatter, revealing impulses, fears, and ignorance. They think that conversation convinces when in truth it exposes. The intelligent speak sparingly, framing the moment so that each word lands like a precise blade rather than a clumsy swing. Do you notice how often the loudest men are the weakest? How often the constant talkers are manipulated by the quiet minds that watch them? Psychology confirms the value of restraint. Men are compelled to fill voids, When you remain silent, you force them to reveal themselves. A hesitation, a glance, a misstep. These are the gifts they give to the observant. Consider the great tacticians of history, generals, ministers, and monarchs who achieved power not by commanding constantly, but by allowing others to stumble into their schemes. Silence is the trapdoor beneath which their folly falls. Even in modern life, the principle holds. In negotiation, the one who remains quiet often compels the other to speak, to justify, to reveal concessions unwillingly. In social maneuvering, silence signals confidence, control, and superiority. Those who rush to fill every moment with words betray insecurity and weakness. Those who master restraint wield influence, because others underestimate their awareness, thinking them passive when in reality they are calculating, shaping the outcome in the shadows. Consider the cunning of Elizabeth I of England. Her court whispered, her enemies plotted, yet she spoke rarely, each utterance deliberate, weighted, and decisive. Diplomats feared the unpredictability of her silence as much as her commands. In every pause, she exerted authority. In every quiet observation, she gathered intelligence. Do you see the lesson? To speak is to act. To remain silent is to dominate the moment, to observe, to manipulate without exposing your hand. Strategic silence also cultivates mystery. Men fear what they cannot predict, and the silent become enigmas. Their influence is amplified not by what they reveal, but by what they withhold. Every word you spare becomes a tool, every secret preserved becomes leverage. Do you use your speech as a weapon, or do you waste it as a mask for insecurity? The clever understand that sometimes the most powerful action is inaction, the most commanding presence is quietude. But silence is not mere absence of speech. It is an active discipline. It demands awareness, timing, and control. The wise know when to speak, how to phrase words, and, most importantly, when to remain unmoved while others expose themselves through verbosity. Observe your surroundings. Who commands attention? Who is manipulated by the unthinking rush of speech? Strategic silence separates the intelligent from the ordinary, the predator from the prey. So I ask you, are you compelled to speak, or do you speak with purpose? Do your words serve power, or do they betray your hand? Strategic silence is the fifth mark that sets the intelligent apart. It allows observation to deepen, manipulation to sharpen, and influence to expand. Speak too much, and you reveal the map of your mind. Speak too little, and you miss opportunity. Mastery lies in balance, knowing when words create dominion and when silence secures it. But mastery is never complete. Knowledge, observation, detachment, pattern recognition, and silence prepare you. But the ultimate test is action. In the next segment, we will explore how calculated decision-making transforms intelligence into authority, how timing, risk, and strategy converge to produce outcomes that others cannot even imagine. The stage is set, and the next revelation will show whether you are merely clever or truly unstoppable. Power is not taken, it is perceived, cultivated, and silently executed. Those who rush, who boast, who demand obedience will always be outmaneuvered. The truly intelligent guide, manipulate, and influence, without ever revealing the hand that moves the pieces. Ask yourself, do men follow you willingly, or do they act while believing they choose? Do you observe, detach, predict, and remain unseen, or are you swept along by their chaos? Control is a shadow. It whispers, it bends without force, and it endures. Every interaction is a battlefield. Every word, gesture, and silence a tool. Those who recognize the hidden currents of human behavior dominate the weak, the emotional, the impulsive. Those who understand influence, timing, detachment, patterns, and silence are unstoppable. Now, I leave the question to you. How will you wield this knowledge? Will you act with subtlety, patience, and precision? Or will you be forgotten among the noisy and foolish? Comment your thoughts below. Show the world your insight. Subscribe for strategies they fear to teach. Share this video, and let the lessons of power spread silently like a shadow over the unthinking.